got some people in this parking lot. Just say, I'm a survivor. I survived hell. I survived loss. I survived brokenness. I survived a divorce. I survived all kind of stuff. I'm a survivor.
Can't hear. I can't hear.
Can y'all hear me now? I can't hear you though, Bishop.
Test 1, 2. Hear me now? All right.
Okay. Put Pastor.
Huh?
T, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
All right, there we go.
Yeah, that was where we've been talking the whole time.
All right. Are we live? All right, ladies and gentlemen, we apologize. Stay with us, y'all. I apologize. Y'all know this technology stuff. Y'all know that, y'all know that sometimes technology fails and it works and it don't work. And hey, it's the way it is. But y'all with us. We glad y'all with us. So thank you for joining another NCCF podcast. We're back in, y'all. We locked in. I ain't even gonna blame it on the devil. Stuff just happened, y'all. I ain't gonna give him no glory. We're not gonna pay him no mind, T. We back. We locked in. We done figured it out. And that's all that matters.
That's it.
You back in my house.
Yep.
And we having this roundtable discussion, and we gonna give the people what they came for. Again, the people came to hear you as we talk about life. And listen, last week was extremely sentimental. Last week was dope. I mean, you went all the way in. You talked about the situation with your son. You talked about him being murdered. Like you walked us through that entire process, right? You walked us through. You put us into your mind frame. You put us into everything that took place. It was so surreal. It was like a divine epiphany. Like God just sat down as we had that conversation, and you had the attention of the entire world, everyone who was watching from near and far, and we just locked in. And every word that was falling from your mouth, man, it was so dope. And when I say dope, I don't mean dope to the point that, you know, we wasn't feeling you. I'm pretty sure people cried. I'm pretty sure people felt some kind of way. But you showed us so much strength and resilience. And for that, you know, I don't know if you got anything else that you wanted to say in regards to that situation and how God has brought you through and how you've overcome. And, you know, let me ask you this question. Have you made peace with God?
I have made peace with God, even though I don't understand, you know, the entirety of his will when it comes to that. I have made peace with him. I'm just resilient in my recovery. And, you know, that's what we have to be. Like, you know, like I said, stuff happens, life happens. We have to deal with it as it comes. But I have made peace with God early on. As I couldn't, like I said, I couldn't be effective in what the Lord called me to do if I'm his enemy. If I don't believe, you know, the oracles of what we believe in our faith, I you know what I mean? Like I said, I wouldn't be real. I wouldn't be myself if I didn't have peace with God. So even with that, it is what it is, you know, and I know everybody don't have that mind frame or that faith level there, but the Lord will get you to that point. And I often say, you know, time doesn't heal all wounds. It allows our heart to adjust to live without those that we love.
That's good.
And
hey,
and
hey Tim, I'm gonna ask you a question on script. Here I am again, going on script. I'm abandoning the playbook right now. If God showed you who the killer is, would you have forgiveness in your heart if God showed you who the killer was of your son?
Now I would. Now, don't get me wrong, I will go through the natural emotions, of course, you know, of being angry. I want to know why, and I still want to know why, even though it can't bring them back. It won't be able to, because no answer that they can give me will justify them taking them from me. But now I would, and I can, after I, you know, still ask them questions. And at the end of the day, I might not ask any questions, because at the end of the day, it really doesn't matter. My son's not here. Nothing you can say can bring him back to me. Nothing you can say can validate for what the action you've done. You know, you've permanently broken my heart. You know what I'm saying? But I do have it in my heart to forgive. Because like I said a couple weeks ago, I may very well be preaching and teaching to the one who did it. You know, so I have to show the agape love that God shows us to other people. And that's how you know that forgiveness is real and that we can bridge the gap in this thing, because it's hard to forgive anybody for small stuff. You know, like they talked about me, you know, we squabble and cry over that kind of stuff. But no, what if somebody really took someone from you?
Come on,
can
now.
You still sit at the table in the presence of your enemy and still offer them something? Come on. Jesus did it with Judas. He said, listen, somebody at the table going to betray me, but I'm still going to love you. I'm still going to feed you tonight. It's the same thing. I have to be open to the idea that this very well may happen, that even one day I may, come in contact with that person, and I have to have that conversation and live in that forgiveness so I don't kill myself out of bitterness.
Ooh, yo, this is some real, now we about to step, now it's time to roll the sleeves up and put the boots on, because we getting ready. Oh, go. Okay, so let's talk about this. So you said that now you're at a place, because you told us last week, you were angry with God, you was cussing and fussing with God, but as time went on, God began to heal the wounds. Now we're talking about the fact that God was to present your killer, because we already know that God knows who does evil. God already knows who the person is, right?
Yes.
And God was to present that person before you. Would you have it in your heart to forgive? You said now you have it in your heart to forgive. Then you said something about Judas, right? Let's talk about that a little bit, because we understand that Judas was part of Jesus's process, right?
Yes.
And it's all about your optical lens and how you look at you. You can look at Judas as being a bad person, or you can look at Judas as being the person that is getting me to my place of destiny. So can you talk about the other side? I'm not talking about the angry side, because we've all been betrayed, and we've all been betrayed, and some of us, may voluntary or involuntary, may have betrayed people, and people may have felt that we betrayed them, and maybe we did it arbitrary. Whatever the case is, at some point in time, we've all experienced some point of betrayal, right? Talk about that fact of that Judas situation, and the fact of how Jesus, and even relating it to you, was able to forgive Judas, call Judas his friend, know Judas that betrayed him, but yet he was whisked away to be able to die for the sins of mankind, but having it in his heart. Because like I said, we talk about forgiveness. We talk about sitting at the table with somebody that we broke bread with, and then we experience a level of betrayal, because I know what betrayal feels like, right? But talk about the fact of how it can also be used, watch this now, as a step to push me and get me to my next dimension.
And most definitely the same thing with Judas and Jesus. Then you got Hannah and Penina. Penina provoked Hannah to prayer. Penina provoked her pregnancy. So if it had not been for Penina provoking her, Samuel wouldn't be on the scene. So the same thing with Judas and Jesus. Listen, I need somebody to speed the process so that thy will can be done. So in other words, is if Judas, it's all in the script. It's almost like we're acting in a movie. I need this character to do this. I need this character to be the bad person. I need this character to be the good person. So everybody done played a part and tried out for this play and got the role. So you have to expect this is what's going to happen, because this is the part that was written out for you. Judas couldn't rewrite the script. He was designed, he was purposed to come here on earth to do just what he did, to catapult Jesus to the cross so that we can have life in that more abundantly. So listen, and same thing with Jesus. He was the epitome of forgiveness. He could not go to the cross with unforgiveness, because he took on the sins of everything that we have. That's why it says that we have to forgive 70 times 7, not for the one thing, but for the repeated offense, because he knew it's going to be another offense. He knew that 2021 we was going to still be betrayal. You know what I mean? So it's a catapult. It's like a domino effect. I need you to get me to the next part of this scene. Without you, I can't get there, because I can't do my own plot twist. So somebody has to play that part. And unfortunately, the lot fell on Judas, but that was also his destiny. So when people start to give Judas a bad name, now we got to look at it a little different, because that was what he was supposed to do. You know what I mean? And they go, and I don't want to go here, but they go off script about, oh, he killed himself. But how do we really know if he ain't asked for forgiveness before he did that? You can't put everybody in hell that killed themselves, because you don't know what the conversation was.
That's good.
And like I said, and that was his part to play, because you got to remember, he had a repentant heart afterwards. The Bible never says he actually repented, but his heart showed that, oh, I made a mistake. He tried to give the money back.
That's good, T.
So yeah, we have to understand the characters in our audience. That's why you got to survey your audience, because and people always get this twisted. I'm sitting in the table in presence of my enemies. Yes, they're going to watch me eat, but you still have to respect the table that they're sitting at.
That's good.
Because they are invited. The Lord is inviting them in to see the backdrop of what you just came from or came to. So at the end of the day, I can't sit there, like, I can be mad and be upset and be hurt, but that's a part of the play that they played in my life. For what yet, I don't know, because God didn't reveal the whole big picture yet. So I don't know if this is the platform when we talk about mental murder and ministry. I don't know. And then sometimes, to be honest, I don't feel like talking about it all the time, because it take me back to a moment that I don't feel like revisiting. But no, Judas, you can't pray your Judases away. You can't denounce, your Peninnahs away all the time. Sometimes you need that push, because if it had not been that provoking, you wouldn't pray, you wouldn't be pregnant, you wouldn't be pursuing destiny, and you wouldn't be in purpose.
T, that's good stuff. So like I said, so now that kind of changes my mind and my perspective of the fact that, like I said, the ministry, the mental, the murder. And now I look at the fact that these things were a part of my life, and we don't get the chance to pick and choose what it is that we go through. Mm-hmm. We just got to go through and trust and believe that God's going to get us to the other side without us losing our mind, without us going crazy, without us signing ourselves into the psych ward. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because like you said, he knows how much we can bear.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying? So I like that. But I like what you said. Jesus could not. Did y'all catch that out there in social media world? She said Jesus could not go to the cross with unforgiveness in his heart. Oh my God, I got to say that one more time. Jesus could not go to the cross, ladies and gentlemen, with unforgiveness, in his heart. So he had already settled the fact that, Judas, you did what you did. It is what it is. I'm going on to my next destiny. I'm praying for you, bro. I thank you for everything. I thank you for the times that we spent together. I thank you for allowing us to write history together. But while I'm going this way, you going that way. Then you talked about the fact how his conscience, Judas had a conscience, because after he did what he did, he realized, man, you know what? I messed up now.
Messed up. And that's what a lot of our enemies realize that betrayed us. You got to think about it. You think about in your own, rearview mirror down the line, like, oh, they did me dirty. Yeah, but when you think about that person try to come back and reconnect. You're like, yo, what, dog, I did you dirty. Yeah, I forgive you, but I can't fellowship with you like that no more. So it's not about, I'm holding forgiveness. I just know I know my audience. I know that I can't fool with a counterfeit when it comes to covenant. I'm looking for real covenant. I don't have time for counterfeits right now in my circle. That's why it's important for us to evaluate the environment, because we can very well know that it's a Judas or somebody on our squad, but we still have to fulfill the purpose. Just because Judas is there, don't negate the fact that we still got to move and be progressive in God.
Yo, see, they didn't put on the screen real quick. See, there you go again, messing stuff up. Always trying to. This is not about you coming in here and trying to, work what you trying to work. You think what was going on?
I am.
you see what I'm talking about? So you said I can sit at the table with you, but that don't mean that we're gonna have fellowship together. Because now you've already revealed and showed to me. So we got a lot of folk out here that's dealing with stuff. Folks dealing with betrayal. Folks dealing with, trust issues, all these different things, right? And we realize that in order to build real covenant, you got to trust the person that's on the other side of that table.
Yes.
I had a conversation with somebody today. I was like, trust is not given, trust is earned. You understand what I'm saying? So when we talk about covenant relationships, that covenant relationship has to be tested with fire.
Absolutely.
To prove that the relationship is authentic. Because at the end of the day, T, we don't know how strong the relationship is until we go through, right? We don't know how strong the relationship it is until we may have a falling out. We don't know how strong the relationship is until I might not agree with something that you want me to agree with. You see what I'm saying? Because at the end of the day, we're not going to always agree. But can we disagree amicably and civilly where we can still save and salvage the relationship? Talk about the fact of people being in situations, because everybody deals with trust and betrayal, but how can we move to a place where, because we know sometimes folks say, well, I'm cutting them off and I'm cutting it, and this is the season. Everybody was putting on social media, this is the season of the cutoff, and then somebody responded and say, well, if you cutting everybody off, you ain't gonna have no friends, or you ain't gonna have nobody if you cutting everybody off. but talk about the fact of working through that, because you talked about how, every time I talk about my son, it opens up the womb, the trauma. And if you've seen there's a lot of dynamics with that.
Yeah.
Walk us through that process.
Yeah. The covenant goes beyond church, and the covenant cannot be contaminated. So that means, again, you have to know your personnel when it comes to your covenant. And everybody that you claims your friend is not in covenant with you. You might be okay and good for that season, but covenant is a blood relationship. That means that when I strike blood, when I'm really hurting and bleeding, I can count on you to be there and covering me. Covenant is about covering. It's not about cowering and leaving when the road gets rough or it gets hot. So even with that, I think people nowadays, when it comes to social media, they put too much flimsy stuff with these ships, these relationships, friendship, and kingdom citizenships. You got to put people in their proper category. You got associates, you got lifers, and you got seasoners. And we won't be hurt as much when we put people in that right category, because we can expect the associate to betray us. We can expect the seasoner to drop a nugget and keep on going. We can expect our lifer to be our ride or die. But I think what happens, we put everybody in a wrong category that they have not earned. Covenant is a relationship that you have to earn. Like you and I, for instance, we've been here at least 20 plus years, strictly as, bro and sis, friends, went through hell and back and still keep it together. It goes beyond the borders of church. It goes beyond that. So somebody can't bring, oh, Bishop Taylor said this. Nah, I know my bro. And if you have to have a small circle as well, because you can have a lot of people that you claim in covenant, but like I said, it can be contaminated. So you have to really just put everybody in their proper category. Because I remember when I was younger, growing up, my dad always said, I was like, I got my friends coming over. He said, you don't got no friends. And I'd be like, yes, I do. He said, no, you don't have a friend until you got at least 15 years with them on your resume and they know a little bit of everything about you. And then as I grew and look back, I'm like, I ain't cool. None of my high school friends no more like that. I ain't got no besties, because since the environment changed, the climate changed, the covenant changed. Same thing with Abraham and Lot. He says, listen, we can all fit here, but because we fighting, somebody got to go. And that's maturity to say, listen, I love you, but I got to leave. My season with you might be suspended. My season is and I hear you, Holy Ghost. Sometimes we're in a lot of illegal covenants and relationships is because our season have been expired, and we have given people a longer expiration date than they need to be. Some people don't need an extension, they need a cutoff. And I preached a while ago, don't take the cutoff personal, because everything that we're doing in God should be progressive. So if you're weighty, and I'm talking about heavy on me, and I'm trying to get somewhere, listen, you're slowing up my momentum. I love you, but I can't afford to have this contamination going into my next season, because God is doing something else. It's about pruning, and nobody wants to get pruned in ministry. Nobody wants to cut nobody off. Everybody wants to be in this whole conglomerate of my friends, my boy, my girl. Nah, when you look at the scriptures, come on, a lot of the prophets walked by themselves. Jesus walked alone. He didn't have no help going up to Golgotha. Simon just ended up helping him because he felt bad for him. So some people just want to help you because they feel sorry for the story. Like I had to learn that even with my son's story. Everybody come on for a second. Oh, I got you. I'm rocking with you. But nah, the dark hours that you don't see, when nobody reaching out to me, where y'all at then? I'm bearing my own cross. I don't have no help. So you have to really understand when it comes to covenant, it's for it not to be a calamity. You have to really evaluate who you got in your environment. Okay, can I grow here, or can I get pruned here, or am I going to get cut here? So put people in their proper categories so y'all won't hurt so much. All this validation right now for social media and for the world to see, and God ain't in none of that.
See, I told you about doing that on my show. Okay, here you go again, right? Okay, so let's go there then. You want to force the hand? You want to have a hockey hat trick? Let's go there. Okay, so we're talking about covenant relationship. You talked about, you said it. Now I'm going to leverage it. I'm going to go in now. So you talked about people having illegal covenants. Here's the thing that I think is dangerous, T, is that we can be so desperate for friendship that we'll start just picking people just to satisfy a situation because somebody left us, because we don't got no friends, because of this. I had to learn, even my own self. I'm an extrovert by nature. That's who I am. I talk to everybody, right? So I had to learn through the years that everybody is not wired the way I'm wired.
Right.
And just because you, again, having a conversation with somebody and you make it, that does not necessarily mean that that's the person that you're going to spend the rest of your, that you're going to spend, the rest of your life with. And one thing about me is like, if I got you, I got you. You understand what I'm saying? If I said I'm riding with you, I'm going to ride with you. You understand what I'm saying? However, at the end of the day, I heard Bishop Jake say, the higher you go, it's like a pyramid. And I said this before. The higher you go to the pyramid, what? He said, when you start off at the bottom, you got all the bricks. But the more you start going closer, you need less and less bricks.
Yes.
That's the way it is when you start ascending to the top and walking with God and you're in pursuit of greatness. All the folk that was with you at the bottom building is not going to be with you on the way to the top.
Absolutely. And that's how you know, that's how you separate the boys from the girls, because once it gets a little narrow at the top, I need to know, do I still have my base foundation at the bottom? And so the same thing what Nehemiah had to do. He said, listen, I can't do this whole wall by myself. I got to now pull out and pluck up who's capable of manning the wall. So yeah, your foundation will get smaller as you begin to narrow out some things. Growth will always determine growth will always determine if somebody's going to stay or not, because they think you acting funny. Now I'm not acting funny. God is doing something else in me, and because I can't stay on this level with you, this mentality with you, you think I'm acting funny. Nah, I am now transfiguring like a cocoon, amen, into what God has called me to be. This level was okay for that season, but now he's calling me to something greater, so I can't still stay in this cocoon stage and my wings is trying to show and my wings is trying to fly. And so that's the thing, when you go higher, your momentum in God, as you ascend, your momentum in God will be greater. And like I think I said last week, people and things will fall off, but you have to understand you can't look back, because you every time you look back, you'll lose momentum. Whether it's business, whether it's relationship, whether it's personal, you're going to lose momentum worrying about the weight that's falling off.
T, you saying some real good stuff. You sent some real good stuff on tonight. So T, we get ready to go to commercial break. But I want to also remind everybody too. Guess what, y'all? Next week for episode 8 of the podcast, we got none other than my boy Trippy Congo, the president of the city council of the city of Wilmington, is going to be coming on next week, y'all. He's coming on next week, and we're going to ask him some real intentional questions. We're going to ask him about what's his plan for bridging the gap between government and faith-based. It's going to be a dope conversation. We was able to finally get him booked. We're working things out, and next week, you don't want to miss next week's episode. Listen, y'all, we're going to go to a quick station identification. We will be back with more episode podcast number 7 with my girl, Pastor T. We'll be right back. Stay with us, y'all.
I got some people in this parking lot that say I'm a survivor. I survived hell. I survived loss. I survived brokenness. I survived a divorce. I survived all kind of stuff. I'm a survivor.
Hey, we back, everybody. Thank y'all for staying with us. Got my girl, T, Pastor Talika.
There you go. This is what covenant about, y'all. You rock with them regardless. This is covenant. You rock with them regardless. They chop your name up. You still rocking with them.
Tomato, orange, apple, pears, lions and tigers and bears. Oh my God. Listen,
we go on to this next question. Listen, a lot of people don't know, some do know. I need you to tell the world. You were a senior pastor of New Vision Christian Fellowship.
Mm-hmm.
You had a couple launches, right? And you're not, and we say this unapologetically, right? And you launched, and I'm not gonna say the launches didn't go the way you wanted to go, but you launched, and your church at this present time is no longer in existence. Right now, you're currently serving under my sister in the gospel, Apostle Lynette Pebbles Collins, phenomenal woman of God. You're serving under her, and you're serving with her.
Mm-hmm.
So you know you're doing a phenomenal job, and like I said, I've always known you can always teach, preach. But I want you to tell the world about the planning those churches and the challenges, and what kind of advice would you give, especially in these times we're living in, because folk are so fickle. Folk are fickle. Hello now.
Yeah.
Those pastors and folk that want to be senior pastors, rude awakening. Folk are fickle. Folks see what you got and say, oh, this and that. But when you put your hands to the plow, the same folk that say, oh man, I'm with you. They going. They fold like a beach chair. Yo, do me a favor, T. Tell the people about your experience when you planted those, because you had 2 launches.
Mm-hmm.
But then tell us about, there were some lessons that you had to learn from that. Talk to the people.
The first launch I did was back in, I don't know if you remember, back in like 2000 and 2008. It was Potter's House. It was Potter's House Deliverance Ministries. Yep. That was the first one that I launched with the ex-husband of mine. And it was okay. It was good at first. But you can't get caught up. Number one, let me rewind. You got to make sure you're called.
Make it plain.
You got to make sure that you're called to that particular office, because like you said, people will see the lights, the glam, the name calling, the mentioning or whatever, but they don't know the foundation and what it takes to really build the ministry behind you. And personally for me, from my experience, if you don't have that partner, that person with you with like-mindedness that's going to build with you, it's going to be a struggle. It was a struggle pretty much from day one, only because the mindset of the other person. But I'm not going to go there. I'm going to be good tonight. I ain't going to put nobody on blast.
You better behave yourself, daughter. Behave yourself.
But no, but it is hard. You have to know, like I said, that you're called to do this, because when people, you get the word out that you're preaching, because the thing is that, like you said, people know I can preach and teach and demonstrate, but it's a different vein when you're pastoring, because I'm not going to have that fun, friendly personality. No, you got to do some things, and if it's not done right, you're going to have to get it right or sit down. And so that was an imbalance for me, because everybody that came that said they love me, I got you, I got your back, as soon as correction was coming, or if they was late about something, it was, oh, I'm great, leave, or you don't have these particular things in place yet for me to stay. So also, for far as how I teach and I preach, I don't have the feel good, tickle me Elmo messages. So a lot of people I lost during that, but I've learned not to compromise my messages based upon your attendance or what you want to hear. So so with that, so that ministry, I was at Rose Hill Community Center when I first started, and it is a great place for anyone to start if you don't have finances or financial backing, because at that time it was free during the week for Bible studies, and then on Sundays it was only like $20 or Sunday. So It's a good place to start if you're trying to get your bank up, trying to get your church rolling and things of that nature. Some people make the mistake of trying to jump out here, get a building, rent a building, but you don't have the bodies to maintain all those expenses, and your word and their offerings is not going to happen, because you got to it's not, because some people's faith is not there, number one, to tithe like that, or their finances aren't there like to tithe like that. So that's when I go by, you got to find other ways for people to tithe, because and have a job. The whole time I pastored, I worked. Some people, they just get the thing and pastor and be like, oh, I'm full-time ministry. Where? How? Because the people will jump off and on.
Behave yourself, daughter.
I am. That first Potter's House Deliverance Ministry lasted for about 2 years, and it was 2 reasons why I stopped. One reason was I was going through a divorce with that particular person, and the other reason was people just stopped coming, like stopped slowly fading, started going other places. So I had stopped doing that. it was discouraging for me to keep coming up. Me and my daughter, we was walking to Rose Hill because we didn't have a car. So we was living in Newcastle. We would walk, and my brother Antoine Brumble sometimes would give us a ride and hook up the speakers and he would play for me. But it was just me and Lockheed a lot of times just walking to have services, just me and her. And I was preaching to her, and I had the camera on speaking in the third person, like a whole bunch of people were there. And it was just me and her a lot of times, and we walking back. And so those were the two reasons why that ministry had stopped. It. That was also the time, Bishop, that I had my brain aneurysm. So that partner that I had was not able to function in that capacity because he only wanted the title based upon my elevation. So every time I got elevated, he thought that he had to be elevated as well. So when he couldn't teach Bible study and do certain things like that. So when that aneurysm took me out, I was in a hospital for them 30 days. So when I got done, the last thing I was thinking about, Lockheed crazy. Last thing I was thinking about, last thing I was thinking about was starting a ministry back up. And then that after that aneurysm, then I was going through the divorce, and then I was getting evicted because some stuff happened with him not paying the bills and all that good stuff. Wanted to be the man, but wasn't doing what he's supposed to be doing. So anyway, that's what happened with that first ministry.
Wait a minute. Brothers, pay your bills before you preach the gospel. Pay your bills.
That's it.
And
that's
y'all
all.
already know. Everybody knows the kind of wife I got. Listen, y'all know Pastor Donna Taylor ain't having it. Bishop Taylor, before you step behind that sacred desk, you better make sure. I was going to say something else, but I'm going to keep it holy. That you going to pay them bills, Joker, before you grab that microphone. All right, go ahead, carry on.
Yeah, so that was that time. So after that divorce process I just went back. I always did conferences, as you know. So I just went back to kind of doing my conferences and, things of that nature. I stepped back out with New Vision Christian Fellowship in 2013. Did that for 2 years. Same place, started back at Rose Hill. I got favor with them. Same place. I had more people coming, staying, and attending and giving. However, throughout the time, there was just everybody was doing, other things, and again, just wasn't there. So I began to get frustrated. I've been to question my calling, like, God, am I really called? Like, I got a word. I know I've been called, but what is going on? And then he revealed to me that I was never supposed to be in the four walls of the church. So it was never going to build for me, since my anointing is so out of the box, so outside.
That's
and
good.
Then it never got off the ground because I started at a place that I seen everybody else start at. Oh, I got to start a church. I got to have a building. No. And then what we're doing now is what he called me to do. So when I finally came into that recognition, well, before that, I closed New Vision down when my son got killed in 2015. So that was up 2 years. 2015 came, and it was crazy because I was at the height of ministry at that time. I was getting engagements. The church was doing good. And then that tragedy happened. And then, like I said, I shut it down for 2 years and then kept going. But within that, I got the revelation that I wasn't supposed to be in the four walls of the church. He said, listen, when you was in the world, nobody could restrict you to one place. So why would you think I would call you and restrict you to this one four walls of the church? He's like, no. So when I came to settle my spirit with that, and just begin to just be like, okay, well, I'll just preach when I'm asked. I'll submit myself under somebody, like I'm doing now with Apostle Collins. And then the Lord just opened it up. So, I was a little bit of everywhere, doing everything at one time, just preaching the gospel and just being able to function and do what the Lord told me to do without the stress of ministry, without the stress of finances, without the stress of the people. And I also found myself, when I was going through them difficult times, that I was preaching to the people frustrated. So I was killing them. And I had to repent for that.
Talk about
because
it.
I was killing them, preaching to them, because it wasn't looking like I thought it was going to look. I thought it was going to, blow up. I got the personality. People love me. But no, they love me, the person, the funny side, but they don't love the preacher when the rod, when the rod and the hammer is being crashed down. And that's when I had to understand, this ain't, I'm not for you guys then. So I would delegate and have them go to other places. Well, check out such and such. Check out this church. Go here, go there. If I'm not it and I don't have the praise, that's the big thing. You don't got praise and worship. You don't shout. You don't sing. Listen, I got a word. I'm not here for all that. Give me God. I don't want the gimmicks. Give me God. And that's what the ministry was built of. And that's what happened. But the most important thing for that, make sure you're called and make sure you have the right demographics of where you're called to. That's one thing I did not do. I prayed to God, Bishop, about everything else, but I did not pray to God where I should be.
That's good.
Even though Rose Hill was cheap and I had favor, that was not my area, because I had to think about it. People back then, the buses wasn't running like that on Sundays. So it was hard for people to get there. And I couldn't just pick up everybody, along the way. So the demographics and the location is a big part of it, because you can have the personality, but is your location is where you're assigned to be. That's the reason why Jesus said, I have needs to go through Samaria. He had a need to go here because that was the demographic that he was anointed to and assigned to at that time. So you have to understand, listen, I might be called to the nations, but just not right now. I can build over here in Newcastle, but let me see what Northside's doing. Let me do outreach here and see what the Lord is really trying to tell me. And one thing that people need to stop doing in this 21st century church is starting a church because you're mad at the leader.
Listen, hold on. You said about 15 things. I'm laughing at. I'm not laughing at you. I'm laughing with you. I'm trying to be serious. Let me get my serious face. But some stuff I'm just kind of laughing because, I've been in the game, I was just telling Kavan, I was telling somebody there, I was telling Mark, I was like, next year, it'd be 30 years of me walking with God, 29 preaching. And I done seen a whole bunch of stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
I can say one thing about pastoring. You definitely have to make sure you call. Because pastoring, and you can testify, I think I seen Apostle Collins out here. She jumped in and she said a couple comments. 10% is preaching and teaching, 90% is dealing with the people. Then another thing that I had to learn. You know who your sons and daughters are when you bring them correction.
Yes.
If they can't take correction, then that's not a son or daughter.
That's good.
That's right.
If they can take your correction, watch this now. Hold on to your hats, ladies and gentlemen, and not get offended because they understand, watch this, the intention from which the correction is coming from.
Mm-hmm.
When they can understand that my leader and my shepherd, watch this, is corrected me and bringing something to light in my life that's going to make me a better person. If they're not trying to harm me, but to help me, that's how you know they're a son or daughter. And one thing that everybody know about me, I don't have a problem implementing correction.
Mm-hmm.
But one thing that I did learn is that I've learned how to be on the other side of the correction. So when I do it, I can make sure that it's done tactfully. A lot of times, pastors don't know how to facilitate or administer correction because they was never really on the other side of it. You understand what I'm saying? And then the third thing, you said a whole bunch of stuff, is a pastor has to be exceptional at being a fundraiser.
That's it.
Because if he don't, come on, somebody, those doors going to be closed, especially if you got a building. One thing that I learned, we started out at the Bear Library, then we went to the New York Senior Center, and we stayed at the New York Senior Center, for almost Shane, like 4 or 5 years.
It was 7 years.
Then the Lord blessed us to get to 294 Churchman's Road. And I've had people come to me and say, Bishop Taylor, the Lord showed me you're going to get a bigger building. I'd be like, amen. Like in my heart, Lord didn't show me. Bishop Taylor, the Lord see me that you're expanding and you need to start look. I'm like, I'm going to expand. And I'm not even operating the whole building right now at 85. Because there's a book that I read by Nelson Searcy called Launch. And a lot of people know me, I'm a metrics guy. He said, you're not ready to move into another church until you've occupied no less than 85% of your building. I was like, how in the world am I looking for another building and we still ain't occupying 55% of our building? That don't even make sense. Then you said another thing. The tithes must match the word.
Yes.
So you have to teach people how to catch up to what you're teaching.
Mm-hmm.
You got to teach people how to give. You got to check. And you have to do it unapologetically. And let the people know that in order to be able to, for us to be sustainable, we need your tithe. We need your offering. Yes, we don't mind you living great, having this, but look, don't forget to make sure you take care of God's house.
Yeah.
You cannot be afraid to challenge the people to be able to give to the house. You can't do that passively. You got to do that aggressively.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying? Because if not, then you'll be stuck in a situation that you'll be like, oh man, I don't want to offend nobody and da 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 and da 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 and da 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 da. I don't want nobody thinking, man, you got to do what you got to do. You cannot run a ministry without funding. And
that's right.
You hear people who really don't know what's going on, and you're a pastor, say, well, God, we just gonna believe God by faith. How are we gonna believe God by faith when God told us specifically what we need to do to sustain the ministry? That ain't got nothing to do with faith. That's common sense.
Mm-hmm. And let's go with faith without works is what?
Right.
It's dead.
So I'm going to say, okay, let's believe God for another building. But God said, first of all, how are you going to believe God for another building? And we barely taking care of what we got here.
Exactly. Because some people will prophesy you into debt.
Okay, so T, stop it. Because like I said, and I don't mean no harm. I don't mean hurt nobody's feelings, but I've had people come and say, well, look, Bishop got, and I'm like, sir, in my mind, and I don't mean to be offended. I say, well, amen. And I'm like, God, me and you already talked. We ain't going nowhere. We gonna keep on renewing this lease until the Holy Ghost shows up and like an angel and speaks from heaven and said, you understand what I'm saying? Because I understand that you're not supposed to be stressed out preaching the gospel, but then stressed out paying the bills or trying to make. That's not the will of God. Now, we still do got to believe God. We got to challenge the people and all that. But at the same time, God wants us focused on the assignment. Come on, somebody.
Yeah.
And not worrying about how we're going to take care of responsibility. So you said like 15 things in one package. So basically what you're saying is, if you jump out there, are you saying, sis, you better make sure your call and election is short?
You better make sure. Yeah, make sure that you're anchored, because they're going to be disappointed. And because we got a church now that's so offended by any and everything, if it don't work the way they think it's going to work, they're going to be offended and mad with God. When God says, no, I kept you in the belly of the beast for 3 days for a reason, so you can hear my voice clearly, not jump out the well and then still be upset. It's the same thing. People fast forward their purpose with God off of fanfare because, oh, you can do this, I got your back. Nah. But what happens when the bill is due? You know, what happens when the church get the cutoff notice for the lights? You can't find those people. But your word is good. Nah, the word is good. But again, you have to have finances for everything, just like your own natural houses. They come to church and think that, oh, the Lord's going to drop out the sky. Nah. No, we need the assistance of the people, and God's going to reward you for your obedience, because obedience is better than sacrifice. So he's going to reward you for your giving if you're a cheerful giver and if you believe his word. The people of God nowadays do not believe his word when it comes to tithing and offering and giving, but they'll believe a Walmart sale.
Yo, I think, man, you about to get in trouble now, because I felt I'm coming down the court now. I got the rock in my hand. I'm doing a skippity doolah, right? Skippity doolah coming down like this.
Let's go.
And then you said there was a period there. Ladies and gentlemen, y'all listen to me. There was a period where all you seen on social media was everybody talking about this church hurt. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And that season lasted for about maybe 2 years.
Yeah.
Me, everybody talking about church hurt and that. And I sat back on the sidelines and I said nothing.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't respond. I didn't put nothing on the comments. I could have said a lot of stuff, but I just remained silent, like folks is tripping, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I've been through church hurt. I know what church hurt feels like.
Yeah.
However, some of the church hurt stuff that I was seeing, to me, wasn't church hurt.
Mm-hmm.
It was just folk mad, upset, didn't want to receive correction.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't like the way somebody did this. Real church hurt is when you're being preached on over the pulpit.
That's right. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, real church, when you've been preached on over the pulpit, and a discussion was made, and that discussion came over the pulpit. Not the word.
Mm-hmm.
The word was laced with it, but the conversation that took place in the back office came across the pulpit.
Yeah, yeah.
And you sit there and you feel the brunt of that, and you like,
mm-hmm.
and you like, okay, maybe that's the way I was supposed to be beat like that. Maybe I was the disobedient child, so I was supposed to be beat over the pulpit, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I had to learn that you never bring to the pulpit something that happens off the pulpit.
Never.
So no matter what happens with your sons and daughters, whatever, you never bring that to the pulpit.
Mm-hmm. That's
it. You just preach the word. Now, there may be things that come across the word that are not personal, that may deal with a situation. That's not the preacher bringing business. That's the preacher. That's God using the preacher to address issues in my life to make me a better person.
Mm-hmm.
You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But talk about that, like that church, like, because for 2 years, maybe like a 2-year run, you know what I'm talking about.
Mm-hmm.
We were getting kind of out of pocket. And every time you turn around, somebody was talking about church hurt.
Yeah.
Huh?
I just think they just took it out of context. One thing about ministry, you have to have thick skin. You have to be able to give what you get, or get what you give, because like I said, people will, pop fly, I'm this, I'm that, talk real heavy until they are confronted about some things or talked about some things. So you have to be able to stand and not have thin skin when it comes to that. And church hurt is beyond, like we talked about, somebody talking about you, somebody don't like you or whatever. Like you said, church hurt is when they talking about you over the pulpit. Church hurt is when you go to your leader about domestic violence situation and they tell you to stay there. That's church hurt. And then they tell you square your shoulders up because you're an elder, you can't have no breakdown. Now that's church hurt, because I'm human and nobody's addressing the humanness of who I am, because they want me to keep this cape on as an elder, as a pastor, an apostle. But no, church hurt is so loosely given, and to be honest with you, I don't really entertain it, only because we grew up in the old school church, to where you ain't experienced church hurt for real, you know what I mean, unless you got sat down, duties not done. Like it hurt you when you couldn't do what you was called to do in the ministry. That's church hurt. So I don't pay this stuff no mind, because I'm like, you mad because they telling you to tie your shoe or to fast, stuff that you're supposed to do, and then, like I said, they go out and they start their own ministries. They talk about the leadership. One thing that has gone away from the church is when somebody leaves your church, the leadership isn't calling that pastor to find out why they left. What happened? What am I about to inherit? Not to talk anything bad about that person, but let me see what's about to come into the sheepfold and maybe cause a disruption. Because some people, isn't just running off, oh, they hurt my feelings. Nah, I know this leader. I know this person. Let me just see, what's going on. And then, but no, church hurt. I kind of dismiss it. I'm not, I mean, it is real. It's real in certain things, in certain situations. However, you have to know that you're there for God and not the people. You can't run it every time, and you can't, and like you said, you can't get beat over the pulpit. When I got my beatings from my dad, he didn't take me outside. He brought it to, he had me privately in my room and he gave my beating. But then when he presented me to my siblings, come on, I was still his daughter. I was still loved. I was still able and capable of doing what he called me to do. He was just disappointed at that time. So leadership, a lot of times when they put that stuff across the pulpit, they don't understand the damage that they're really doing to people. Because not only that, the people don't look at, they relate church hurt to leaving God. So because I got hurt in the church, I don't want God no more. And that should not, that's a total different entity, because God don't have anything to do with that church hurt and then who you're there for. Because whether you hurt me today or tomorrow over the pulpit, I'm still anchored in him.
That's good.
I'm still, and you got to think too, all the times we get hurt naturally in life and relationships and jobs, we still go back to them jokers that hurt us. We still go back to work and clock in because they ain't gonna stop our check. It's the same difference. It's the same difference. Now, I'm not saying stay at a ministry that's totally beating you up, degrading you, and you had that conversation and nothing's being resolved. I'm not saying that. Don't be a fool. But I'm saying that some things you got to keep it pushing. Let it fall off your sleeve. Because I'm like, my thing is, if you can't say it to me, you're not talking about me.
Listen, check this out, right? We got a few more minutes. So another thing that bothered me, all right, and people are like, Bishop, we ain't never know these things bother you, because I just sit back, you know what I'm saying? I feel that the church has gotten a bad rap. Yeah, yes. She's not perfect. Yeah, she's got issues. Yeah, because like I said, the moment I walk in the church, church immediately becomes imperfect. There's no perfect church, right? But I feel though that the church, she has taken a beating for a lot of things that, to me, I believe is nonsense. Like people just saying, well, the church just gets blamed for everything. The church gets blamed when this happens. The church gets blamed for Hurricane Katrina. Where was the church? The church got blamed for, I'm just saying for this. Where was the church? It's always, where was the church? Where was the church? And yeah, there were times where, we may have been absent or silent, but the church, she's still strong. She's still explosive. She's still changing lives.
Yeah.
She's still God's bride. You see what I'm saying? She is still making it. I don't know what I would do without the church. Jesus said, upon this rock I will build my church, and the gates of hell shall not prevail. The church is still saving lives. The church is still changing people's minds. The church is still bringing people, or the word with the church is still bringing people from the guttermost to the uttermost. The church is still radical and relevant and revolutionary today as she was yesterday. And I'm standing here today unapologetically to say that I believe that the church has taken a bad rap. I believe that she's taking a bad rap. I believe she gets blamed for everything, just like the devil sometimes for stuff that don't got nothing to do with us. But
right.
I just don't believe that the church, and then we wonder why the world don't want to come into the church, because everybody, and I ain't talking about the world, us, we're killing our own self. And that's why, listen, I'm like, bro, sis, do you know what you're doing right now? You're not apologetically defending the church.
Right.
You're tearing her down. That's why they call us what they call. That's why they don't look at us and take us serious. Ladies and gentlemen, stop beating the church up. We never said we were perfect. We never said we do it. That's why we all need Jesus.
Yeah.
But the church is still relevant. See, we got a few minutes. Talk about that. Like, I'm tired of the church taking, always getting blamed and taking a bad rap.
Yeah, and when that stuff was happening, I was very confrontational with that. Because my thing is, when the church is out there in the neighborhood, like you, for instance, you're feeding 5,000. You know, the Grow Place does a lot of outreach as well. Where are you at then? Why are you calling the church when a calamity happens? When the church been there all the time? And like you said, it's us that's doing it. It looks crazy. It reminds me of the Midianites. Midian means that you're fighting within yourself. So a lot of times, like you said, when they're doing it, it's the church people that's saying, where's the church? Where's the church? No, where's your church? Because our church is functioning. We're doing what we're supposed to be doing. We're outreaching. We're doing what we have to do. But where are you? The church is missing you. So a lot of times it also goes back to deflection. They want to deflect and cast something else on somebody so they ain't taking the blame for it. Now, we're not taking that rap. We done took too much on the head when it comes to, where's the church? But some stuff is not our responsibility. We're doing the best that we can. How about if you join the branch of Zion? Then we can have more leaves to be able to spread out and do what we're supposed to be doing and come together. That's the thing that I don't like about this particular area, is that nobody's coming together. You can't fellowship with this person. You don't like this person. Don't go over here. Why? When we're all the same veins in one body, how come we all can't function so the blood supply can flow? So we make ourselves look crazy talking about other people, talking about what the church ain't doing. Now the church is doing what it's designed to do. You have to get a part of a part of the design and go ahead and make your own, make it your own. But yeah, the church was getting a bad rap for a long time and still do. Where the church at? Where the church? Now we here. We're on every single corner and you did not come and occupy us one time. You didn't come not one time to fellowship. You just looking for a problem. So when it's a problematic thing going on, now it's where the church. We've always been here. We never left. And you're looking at the building. How about the individual that has the resources that you need?
Yeah, that's true. Ladies and gentlemen, give it up for my girl. We're going to get her. She's coming back, y'all. Y'all best believe she is coming back here to the NCCF Midweek Empowered Podcast. And we're going to talk about some stuff, because one thing about her, she's not afraid to dig in with me and put her heels in the sand. Ladies and gentlemen, we have enjoyed y'all. T, I enjoyed you. Episodes, 5, 6, and 7.
Yeah, listen.
Enjoyed you. It's going down. It's going down. Go to the website, nccfde.org, for information, for food, for online giving. Again, we appreciate all of our partners, all of your giving. Please continue to sow. Whatever a man soweth, that shall he reap. You see it on the screen. We got Project 5,000, looking to feed over 5,000 people over the next 2 to 3 years with food. We are feeding people in the pandemic. Again, we just reloaded up our freezer and refrigerator with food. I was here today, seeing Evangelist Jones. She was here bringing some food. We got food, ladies and gentlemen. Fresh meats, vegetables, non-perishables. Call the number, go to the website, and get what you need to get. Ladies and gentlemen, we thank you again for joining us. Podcast episode number 7. Don't forget, next week going to be podcast episode number 8. Our very own Councilman President Trippy Congo is going to be here. We're going to ask some questions and find out how we can bridge the gap between government and faith-based. Y'all need to catch that episode
is going to be extremely dope. Catch us here Sunday, virtual church. Again, NCCFDE.org, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. Again, my name is Bishop Taylor. On behalf of my lovely wife, Pastor Donna Taylor, down here with my crew, we balling, my media team, Shannon, Kavan, Pastor Ronell, we missing Deke. We balling down here, y'all. We're going to see y'all Sunday, 9 o'clock. Praise and worship will be in the building. Don't meet us here. Beat us here. We love you. We'll see you. It's it, y'all. It's a wrap. We out.
Do I got some people in this parking lot that say I'm a survivor? I survived hell. I survived loss. I survived brokenness. I survived a divorce. I survived all kind of stuff. I'm a survivor.